This is not a trick shot video. I don't like trick shot videos. I like using creative shots in real life situations that you are going to need and use all the time. Hang on to your wig hats, pool players. This one hits hard and it hits fast. If you have to, go back and use your rewind button and watch it 1,000 times over. Some of these are really, really tricky, and I don't lead up into a big, long speech about them. And a common wisdom in the pool world, and every legitimate pool player knows that the key to this whole game is to keep things simple and to not get yourself in jams. But sometimes that is not our choice, and we inherit things from other pool players that we're forced to deal with. At some point in time, I was watching Efren Reyes playing in a match where his opponent was just completely did not have a chance. And Efren was beating him in a race to 11, 10 to nothing. And he figured he'd give the guy a game and just throw the game away and let him have a game instead of skunking him and making an ass out of him. Efren wasn't in this position and didn't have to do what he did, but he did it and he made it. So when I saw that, I went straight to the pool room and practiced it over and over and over and missed it a million times until I finally figured out what the trick was. And then I never missed it again. So just because he wasn't in a position to have to do this, you are. There's no kick on this table. You can't kick this rail, you can't kick 3 rails, and you can't kick the long rail back down the table. You are screwed. What do you do? This is what you do. That's shot with bottom left. That's the trick to this shot, bottom left. You ever get corner hooked? Of course you have. There's other words for this, but we all have. And this is the situation. You have no kick again. What do you do? This is what you do. That shot with top right at an extreme angle on your cue, so you have to jack way up to shoot that. And you're just kind of poking it into the other titty. Learn this shot and every shot in this video, and you'll be very glad you did. You remember the Efren shot off the side pocket titty with bottom left-hand English? Well, here's the same exact shot with no English at all, and you cannot kick again in this position. You can massage it, but you're playing with fire, and I would not recommend it in this situation. So what do? This is what you do. This is shot with just center balls and a really keen focus on that titty. Put a ball in the position of the exact center table and pull cue ball back 2 or 3 feet. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's straight, exactly perfectly straight into that pocket. And just shoot this ball in all different speeds, as hard as you can to as light as you can, while still making the object ball into the pocket. This will diagnose your stroke. It will allow you to adjust your stroke and make it straighter, and I promise you, if you practice this, you will come out of it with a straight stroke. You cannot consistently make this ball without a straight stroke. Put the cue ball in all sorts of crazy positions all over the pool table and practice 3 rail kicks. These things will get you out of more trouble than any shot on the pool table. And that's particularly true in 8-ball. You'll soon find out that the key to these things is to use running English, which in this example would be right-hand English. The English used to spin the cue ball to the rail, and instead of gripping the rail, uses the rail to continue its momentum around the table. In an example like this, it would be left-hand English. You're just spinning the cue ball, in this example, clockwise in order to keep on spinning the cue ball. And instead of the rail slowing down or stopping it, the rail actually picks up the momentum of the cue ball and kind of helps it back up table. When I was a kid growing up on the mean streets of Philly, I would gather up a quarter and go to a bar box, which was usually a valley pool table. And I'd put my quarter in the table and I'd get a rack, but I wouldn't take any of the balls out of the table and put them on the table and rack them up. I would just take the cue ball and just practice 3 rail kicks. And I could do this for hours and hours until somebody came in and said, "Hey, you want to play?" And at that point, I'd say sure, because I would play anybody for free. And I would pay for the first game. And then I'd try to beat them every single game. So adults would come in and they'd say, "Hey, kid, you want to play?" And we'd play. And the first game would be on me. And if I lost, I'd say, I don't have any more money. And they'd usually be so appreciative that I paid for that first game that they'd pay for all the rest of the games just to have something to do, just to beat this little smart-ass kid. So I was hustling pool before I even really knew what the hell hustling was. I was hustling free pool time. And if nobody came in all damn day, I would practice this 3 rail kick because, you're not paying a nickel for it. You're not paying anything for it. And if it was time to get home before it got dark, I would just, throw all the balls out on the table, run the rack, and go home. So once you're competent with the 3 rail kick from just about anywhere on the table, then you start realizing that that's just the beginning of the situation, and it doesn't have to be a kick. It can be a bank. So if you have a situation like this playing 8-ball and you think your possibilities are over and there's nothing you can do except try to play as safety, you start realizing that a whole new world is opening up and you can bank this 3 rails by doing this. This is a lazy boy drill. I have a video about this somewhere on the internet. It looks easy, but it's not as easy as it looks. It's very easy to scratch, and people often do scratch, or they just get really bad on it because it takes a touch to do it right. So you're shooting that ball in the corner pocket and using 2 rails, maybe 3, to get back in the position on the next ball. So what this does is it dials in the speed of the table for you, and it dials in your stroke too. It's not as easy as it looks. If you need to get straight in on that second ball, you might easily have a problem on this, and people screw this up all the time because it comes up all the time. The key to this, the very key to this, is to hit that corner pocket ball fuller than you think. You're not just nicking that ball into the pocket. You're actually using that ball to decrease the angle coming off that ball and onto that first, top rail. So you're hitting it with bottom left, but a whole lot fuller than you might think.
Jerk. You threw me off.
When you enter a pool tournament, do you get nervous before the tournament starts or as you're playing that first match? Now here's a little secret. Everyone does. Even the best players in the world do. And that's because everybody knows that they're quite capable of making an ass out of themselves. And what if that happens today while people are watching, or while your money is on the line? Every single pool player gets nervous before a match. Some of us are just really good at not showing And some of us understand ways to cope with it, and the greatest way to cope with it is to understand that it's nothing more than energy. It's an excess of energy, and you need to find something productive to do with that energy that also builds your confidence. Some guys jog around the block, some guys punch a punching bag, some of the people do all kinds of crazy stuff to figure out what to do with this excess energy. This is what I do. This might not work for you, but it works for me. And the whole reason that it works for me is because you have to shoot this ball hard, almost as hard as you possibly can without knocking the ball off the table. So that excess energy is being used in my stroke, and this will straighten out your stroke because it's straightening out the ball. So this is not a dead straight shot. You have to straighten it by pushing that object ball into the rail as much as you can in order to straighten this out. And I have entire videos about this titled The Brumback Drill, because I saw John practicing this. John's probably the greatest banker in America. In fact, in the whole entire world. And this is what he practices before a tournament, because he knows it's getting out excess energy, it's straightening out his stroke, and it's building his confidence as he makes it 50 times in a row. My name is John Disque. If you want more of these types of videos showing you real life situations and real life possibilities of getting out of bad situations, then all you have to do is click like. Believe me, I'll get the message, and I'll post more of these types of videos. Peace.